So I lived what most people would describe as a normal life until one day everything changed. I was on a family vacation and a tragic boating accident changed my life forever.
The boat comes out, hits this sharp angle, and from my vantage point, I'm talking to my friend, getting ready to go have dinner, and all of a sudden I'm sucked under. The propeller has sucked me under the boat. And it was one of those moments where, like a lot of you have heard people talk about, those kind of life or death moments. It felt like minutes, hours, and it was probably 10 seconds. But I can remember being under the boat, and I remember the bottom of the boat was white, and I remember thinking, what is happening? Like everything felt like it was in slow motion. I don't remember the feeling of being hurt or any of those graphic details. I literally just remember what was in my head, and I literally remember thinking about my kids and having this, it's like a very deep conversation that you have with yourself in these moments. And I remember being resolved that I wasn't going to leave them without a mother. I remember thinking that. But I don't remember swimming out. That's kind of the black hole in my memory, but I clearly did. And of course the propeller had damaged me in some pretty severe ways. But everybody else was on the dock, and they didn't know what had happened. But they see me treading water with what you'll hear about in a minute, was essentially one limb that was functioning. And this was a very deep lake. So it was extremely lucky that I was able to kind of hold on to that tightrope, because it wasn't like it was 3 feet. It was probably 50 feet where we were. And a couple of the other people jumped in. And at the time, my husband thought I just had a minor injury. I was still in the water. They didn't know. So he ran up to the house to get the keys or whatever. And while these other people get me out, and then as they swim me out and put me on the dock, everyone realizes the extent of my injuries.
I had, from those injuries, an amputated left leg, a severely injured right leg, and an injured right arm. And through almost dying, I've learned lots of lessons on living. And really what I'm trying to do is to share those lessons, which I found have universal, powerful truths that really can help people facing any challenge at work, at home, knowing that we all face challenges in our life. I think one of the things that's really helped my message relate to others, and some of the feedback that I've received, is I've used a very real, raw, personal story. And even my presentation includes photos of what I've gone through in real life stories. And I think that really breaks through, when you go to conferences and you go to different meetings, and a lot of it is, quote unquote, corporate speak, that the lessons that I've learned and the way in which I tell them, I really hope cut through all of that and help people realize that there are these universal truths that we can all learn, and I've learned them in my personal life, but they have amazing application to business, work, challenges facing almost any problem today.
So another thing that I saw when I was just Googling disruption is this quote, that out of chaos, clarity emerges.
As I've spoken to different groups and, told my story to different individuals, as well as the blog that I've written about my experiences, it's been fascinating and awesome and humbling all at the same time to really hear how my lessons and my stories that are just very real and true and authentic to the experiences I've gone through have helped people find that inner strength, have helped them realize that they too can overcome anything, because you really don't know how you're going to respond to something until it happens to you.
So there's 3 lessons I want to share.
The first one is just using the power of perspective. And that sounds cliche because we hear that all the time. Oh gosh, I heard about this and that gives me perspective. But really, if you actively use perspective, and I'll talk in my speech about how if you actively use perspective every day, you can really help yourself change how you see things. That's what perspective really is. What's your view on things? And if you actively use it, it's amazing how you can not only change your perspective, but also change your outlook, your beliefs, which can ultimately change the outcomes and your behaviors.
I love what this definition said. You have to be full of initiative. Use your imagination in difficult situations.
Another lesson that I talk about is really how you need to be relentlessly resourceful when you're facing disruption. Everybody always is going to want more resources, and I've said many times when I was in my recovery, I was missing some pretty critical resources as it relates to things that you're used to having every day. You learn to walk before you can even remember, and I had to start over again. And I've realized that when you have to get creative, when you have to be resourceful, it's amazing what you can accomplish. So I always tell people, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. There's always a starting place. You just have to take that first step.
It's about just getting in there and figuring it out. And to deal with disruption, whether it's once again at work or at home, You have to be resourceful because you're not going to have everything you needed.
Third lesson that I've really discovered as I was dealing with my own disruption is you have to find a way to believe. I think deep down in each of us, if you don't really believe and you don't see there's a way you can win, your team can win, your company can win, you can face whatever challenge is coming to you, then you really can't.
All of our jobs are to get our teams, our families, whoever we're working with, to find a way to believe. But like the other ones, there's a verb, find.
It really is a powerful adage that if you can't find a way to believe, you won't. So I feel like if you find a way to believe, if you can look at examples of people that have gone before, faced your specific challenge, or chart your own course, you have to see it to believe it. And I've really found that to be true. My subject matter is obviously heavy and serious to a certain degree. But one of the things that I found is the subject matter and the premise itself really helps people get kind of in an emotional state to channel their inner feelings and thoughts about challenges that are facing them, challenging their life or business. But one of the things that's been fun is to really use humor in the lighthearted side. You know, the things that I went through, even things that come up today, there's a lot of humor that comes from, you know, these particular experiences. And I've tried to use that to really relate to audiences because everybody wants a powerful message, but in a fun delivery.
But then I started to ask, well, what's the criteria to get out? And that's right, you got to know what that looks like.
You know, my hope is that after people listen to what I have to share and listen to my story, that they can walk away feeling empowered and feel like whatever was their burden walking into that meeting or that discussion, that they feel like they can go conquer anything.